Okay, I'm Susan Thomas, and my role is an advocate for the children as a volunteer.
And how and why did you first get involved with CASA?
I retired from being a school counselor in 13, and one of my counselor friends mentioned that what a CASA was, and thought I'd be good at it, and so I think it was later that year that I started the training and became involved with CASA.
I haven't really had anybody talk about the training. Can you kind of walk through at least kind of the highlights of what some of that training looked like?
Okay, well, today it's mostly online, I believe, but when I was training back in 13, it was in person, and we had notebooks, and we went through scenarios, we did role playing, because CASAs come from all walks of life. They aren't all counselors or, educators even. So there's some training to make sure that everyone knows about privacy and how to advocate for children and so forth.
So in your role coming from a counselor role at a school, and now it's a little more one-on-one, what was that like for you personally?
Yeah, it's different because I'm not their counselor. I'm there to be objective and to get to know the children and get to know the foster parents, get to know the bio parents. But when it all comes down, it's what's in the best interest of the children, whether it's to stay out of the home or be reunited with their parents.
CASA always needs volunteers. So what is one way that you've seen, whether it's a story for you or a story from someone else, that you've really seen the impact that a CASA volunteer has had for a child?
Oh, well, in my own experience, I guess, since I've been a CASA, I have stayed friends with the adoptive or the parents and Facebook friends, so I can see what the children are, graduating from high school or growing up and celebrating birthdays and so forth. So
right, and so now this is, math is right, about 12 years you've been doing this. Mm-hmm. So you've had multiple experiences. What does it feel like when you have a child that comes through it and they have a positive result? What does that feel like for you? What does that feel like for them? That they kind of come to the end of the road as far as what you guys are directly involved in. What does that feel like?
Well, it's very rewarding. It also lets me use a lot of the skills that I developed as a school counselor and educator, and just to be there and help the adults and the children to deal with the trauma and so forth. So it's just pretty rewarding.
CASA, we're raising money for CASA, so why is it important that we try to generate funds outside of what CASA already has?
Well, as everyone knows, nationally everything's been cut, and so CASA, a statewide level, is not getting all the funds that they used to, and a lot of the local funds are tight also, that they ask counties to contribute. So and the funds are needed for the administrative parts of CASA, like my supervisors, promoting, doing things to help promote CASA to the community.
Why is it so important that we also need more CASA volunteers?
Well, there are unfortunately every month, every year, there's more kids that need a CASA that are involved with the court system. So that there just needs to be more. Not everyone stays with it for 12 years. They do it for a few years and then they go on to do something else with their life. So that's why we need more volunteers all the time.
If I was a person and I was kind of on the fence, like, I'm going to make a donation, should I give it to CASA? Should I give it to someone else? What would be something that you would want to say to someone who is thinking about, hey, we should support something like this? Is this the right one? What would you say to them?
Well, I think this is something that their charity would be used for the benefit of children who have lost a lot of the stability, security that they would have had in a regular family. So, it's something that, and it affects people in your own community too. So it's not going off to Africa or something. It's staying right here.
I love that point of it stays here. It doesn't even go really to Omaha.
No.
It's coming to
it's
Fairbury.
directly. There's no middleman. It's staying right in the to benefit our own communities in Nebraska here, southeast Nebraska.
And what would you say to someone who has seen or heard about CASA, but maybe they're not exactly sure what it is, or if they wanted to get involved, how would they do that? What would you say to try to encourage them to become a volunteer?
I guess they could go to the website, and I'm sure there's a place there to put your name in and say you're interested, or just if you know someone who's a CASA, ask, talk to them and get the contact information of the supervisors, director, and so forth. So,
if you were going to go on a recruiting pitch for CASA volunteers, what would be the pitch to someone that we're rallying the troops, we need you? What are we saying?
Not everyone is retired who's a CASA, so you can do it even if you're working full time. You visit children like I typically do after school. So teachers make really good CASAs because they're used to working with kids, and they see the need because they've had kids in their classroom that have, been pulled out of the home and are in foster care. So I guess, it could be anybody. It could be a CASA. It doesn't have to be. I have a cousin who's an accountant, and she was a CASA. She did just babies. So that's something that's, some examples, I guess.
Right. Is there anything else that you feel is important that should be shared with people, kind of in the general public, I guess, if you will, about CASA or why it's so important?
Can't think of anything right off the top of my head. I guess it's just something that is, it does take a commitment because it's a certain amount of, when you have court reports to do, it takes a certain amount of time to get those put together so that because you're a legal, your report is just as important as the one that comes from the attorneys or from the DHHS. And the judge sometimes even looks at that first because, and one of the good things about the CASA is that they only have one or maybe a family of children, where DHHS has, 20 cases. So this is just one of many. And sometimes there's some details that get overlooked or left out or something. So.